Hi, thanks for using my court coach. I'm Sarah and I'll be your instructor today as we talk about the property declaration. That's Form FL160, as well as the continuation of property declaration. That's Form FL161. The property declaration is a multi-purpose form which may be filed with the court as an attachment to a petition or response. It can also be used by a party to comply with their disclosure requirements in place of a schedule of assets and debts. The courts may also require a party to file a property declaration as an attachment to the request to enter default form or a proposed judgment. So in order to fill out this form, first you want to fill in your identifying case caption information at the top. Below that, you're going to identify or mark the box that correctly identifies your role to this case, whether you're the petitioner or respondent. Then you're going to identify whether this form is being used to list your community property or your quasi-community property. Just for reference sake, quasi-community property is property that may be located out of the state of California, but still acquired during the marriage. Or it can be used to list your separate property. You may use one for listing community property, one for separate property. If you have separate property should not be combined on the same form as community property. Below that, we're going to follow these same instructions as though you're filling out a schedule of assets and debts. So for real estate, you want to list the address for any property you may have, date acquired, fair market value. If you've had it appraised recently, it would be your appraisal value. Otherwise, you can use real estate sites such as Zillow.com or Redfin.com to come up with your estimate, your amount of debt that's owed on it, and that will give you your net fair market value. Then you want to propose how the assets should be divided. So if your proposal includes that the petitioner should be awarded the property, you would put the entire net fair market value under petitioner and 0 for respondent. Household furniture, furnishings, appliances. How detailed you want to get on this is up to you. Some people like to list every single table lamp in the house. Some people are happy to say living room set, bedroom set. If this is not enough space for you, there is the option of using the continuation of property declaration form as referenced above. That is this form right here. And again, you're just going to list what your role is to the case and whether this is listing community property or separate property. But this can always be used as additional space to list any assets and debts that you want to include on your property declaration. As with respect to furniture, furnishings, appliances, you want to list fair market value as garage sale value, unless you have some really unique, expensive pieces. But for most people, it's going to be garage sale value. Jewelry, antiques, art collections goes below that. Then vehicles, boats, trailers. Vehicles, boats, trailers. For gross fair market value, I would use Kelley Blue Book private party value. Again, subtract the amount of debt that's owed on it, and that gives us our net fair market value. Bank accounts, you want to list the bank where the account is being held, as well as the account number, and that applies to savings accounts, checking accounts, credit union accounts. For cash, you don't need to list if you have $5 in your pocket, but if you have a significant amount of cash laying somewhere, you would want to disclose that. Tax refund is any monies you're expecting to get back from the IRS or the state franchise board in relation to a tax return you may have recently filed. Life insurance, you only need to list this if it's a cash value plan. If it's a term policy, you do not need to disclose your life insurance policy on this form. And then stocks, bonds, retirements, profit sharing, IRAs, annuities, etc. For these categories, you want to list the bank or the administrator that's holding on to the plan, as well as the account number. If you have a business, you would list accounts receivable here, and then the value of the business gets listed in 15. If there are any other assets that have not been disclosed throughout this form, you would list them in 16. And anything that was disclosed on the form FL161, you want to take those totals and list them down here. Finally, at the bottom of these columns, you're going to total up all the values listed above and list that amount down here. Page 3 is for debts. For any student loans, credit cards, other types of loans, you want to list who the loan is owed to or the debt is owed to and the account number. Taxes is if you owe past due tax obligations, that gets identified in number 20. If you owe support, either child or spousal support, arrearages, that's back pay, you would identify and describe that in line 21. Any other debts that have not been disclosed above go in line 24. And again, if you've listed any debts on your continuation sheet, your FL161, you would list those totals down here. Finally, tally up the totals from each column and write in the amount of the total at the bottom. If you did end up using the form FL160 form, mark the box that states that. You want to type your name at the bottom and sign and date this form, and then it is ready to serve and file. I hope you found this form helpful. Good luck.